Western Manitoba is home to some of the deadliest street and prison gangs in Canada, such as the Manitoba Warriors and Indian Posse. However, today we'll be taking a look at the Zig Zag Crew. Even though it's not as large as the others, its close ties with the Hells Angels make it a formidable group on the streets. Continue watching as we dive deeper into the Zig Zag Crew, its operations, and how one secret agent almost destroyed the Hells Angels organization in Manitoba. Like other Manitoba gangs, the Zig Zag Crew has its base of operations in Winnipeg, Manitoba, the country's merger capital. Even though it doesn't claim to be a race-based group, most of its 60+ members are people of Caucasian or Aboriginal descent. Of course, Aboriginal street gangs have a reputation for being unruly and prone to public acts of violence. However, the Zig Zag Crew is different. Unless it's a drug operation, you'll rarely see them causing havoc on the streets. A lot of this probably has to do with its relationship with the Hells Angels. See, the Zig Zag Crew is more than just a Hells Angels ally. It's actually a puppet club of the Hells Angels Manitoba chapter, according to police. Even though they identify themselves as independent entities from the outlaw biker club, police reports have shown that the gang is an underling to the more powerful group. Back in 2009, an interesting photo surfaced showing two Hells Angels cozily holding shoulders with a full-patch Zig Zag member. The ordinary eye might only see three buddies getting along. However, criminal and gang experts alike agreed that the photo intended to communicate to the streets that the Zig Zag Crew was officially under the Hells Angels' protection. Puppet clubs are unique entities that larger criminal groups set up to do their dirty work, and the Hells Angels Outlaw Biker Club has a reputation for establishing a few of those all over the country. The business model is quite simple. After infiltrating a new city or town, the Hells Angels select a particular local gang that suits their taste. Then they supply it with resources such as drugs and arms, and task them with taking control of the local drug trade. To help them gain traction in the underworld circle, the Hells Angels will even show support for the group. That way, other low and mid-level gangs will keep off. As expected, the Hells Angels don't establish puppet clubs for charity. All of the club's members must pay monthly revenue to the local Hells Angels chapter. However, if they get caught by the police, the Hells Angels will cut ties with the group and deny any involvement. They'll say, "It wasn't us, it was them." Other than the Zig Zag Crew, other popular Hells Angels puppet clubs include the Redlined, Handsome Bastards, Los Diablos, Dirty Few, Gatekeepers, and the Savages. There are reportedly over 20 Hells Angels underling clubs all over the country. Back to the Zig Zag Crew. It's safe to say there are more bikers than Aboriginal gangsters. They cherish their Harley Davidsons and always wear their leather biker jackets. At the back, you'll see the fiery ZZC symbol followed by their home base, Winnipeg. They don't really have any gangster hand signs or signals, and neither do they chant scary slogans. Unlike other local gangs that are commonly disorganized, the Zig Zag Crew has a well-defined structure with an easily identifiable leader. Like the Hells Angels, they have a chapter base with the president that heads criminal sittings referred to as church meetings. All official members are males, with women only playing support roles. At the bottom of the Zig Zag hierarchy, we have associates, then official friends, hang-arounds, prospects, and finally full-patch members. As you might have guessed, they don't jump in on a recruit as part of the induction process. Jumping in is reportedly a ritual popular among Western Aboriginal gangs. It involves the wannabe member walking in a dark alley in the middle of the night. Members of the gang will then purposefully jump and beat the individual to a pulp. If the wannabe survives, he will have proven that he can handle himself in a rival street fight. Instead of such a dangerous operation, Zig Zag recruits slowly earn the trust of their senior members until they are fully assimilated into the club. You cannot become a Zig Zag member if you have a past as a cop or any other authoritative position in Canada's legal system. Even though Zig Zag full-patch bikers are separate from Hells Angels members, it's possible to transition into the parent club. However, it rarely automatically happens. They often have to join the Hells Angels as a prospect until they earn their full-patch status. According to authorities, the city of Winnipeg is a drug haven that often has criminal organizations fighting over the market. In the events that Zig Zag members take part in street fights and shootouts, it's almost always against rival members of the Manitoba Warriors or Rock Machine. Other than the two main rivals, the ZZC will sometimes exchange fists with the Central Gang and Loyalty Honor Silence. As far as alliances are concerned, it's reportedly a case of my friends or your friends. The Winnipeg Puppet Club will get along with any gang that cooperates with the Hells Angels. When in prison, Zig Zag inmates can choose to either tag along with the friendly native Syndicate or Redlined club. Through the early 2000s, Winnipeg police were fed up with the local Hells Angels chapter. Many officers would tell you they were nothing but trouble for the community. The bikers had a chokehold on the local drug trade, and even though the police busted them several times, they kept coming back. Their survival had a lot to do with the Zig Zag Support Club. It continuously supplied the parent club with members to maintain the minimum number of people needed to hold meetings or make decisions during club meetings to sustain the chapter. By 2008, they were seen as cocky and public stunts were becoming common. We're talking about drive-by shootings and public harassment. In June that year, a father of three was brutally assassinated outside a Pembina Highway hotel. Witnesses testified that the victim was relaxing on the patio at around 2 a.m. when a car zoomed by and he was shot several times. Police investigations revealed that the victim was probably not the intended target. He was among the many innocent civilians caught up in the war between Zig Zag Crew members and their drug rivals. It had to stop, and the police knew they needed to act fast. In November 2008, as if by chance, the authorities stumbled upon an individual who was willing to cooperate. Michael was a longtime Zig Zag Crew member since 2000. However, it was a year earlier that he had become a full patch member. On top of the added privilege of attending all meetings, he was also the club's secretary-treasurer, and he knew more about the organization than the average biker. One thing led to another, until finally he signed a deal worth $450,000 with the local Winnipeg police. He became the famous Agent 22 that almost brought the Manitoba Hells Angels to their knees. Agent 22's job was quite straightforward. For the following months, he was going to go about his criminal activities as usual, but he'd have to wear a recording device in all club meetings. Additionally, he was also to report to the police any criminal operations that endangered civilians. He did a thorough job. Within a year, Agent 22 wired 37 official Hells Angels meetings and leaked crucial information about the organization. Thanks to his double agent skills, the police knew about other drugs and arms traffickers, including the bikers' plans to take over Surrey, British Columbia. He is also the one that took the viral video of famous Amos cooking crack cocaine. The police also learned that their two previous Hells Angels busts were a success. According to Agent 22, the 2006 and 2007 operations had seriously depleted their ranks. With many of their full-patch members behind bars, the Manitoba chapter was even forced to redefine their prospects' responsibilities. Prospects no longer engaged in crime. Instead, they lived decent lives and were responsible for what they referred to as bitch work. This included mowing the lawn at the clubhouse or doing grocery shopping. By December 2009, the police had gathered all the information they needed to take down both the Manitoba Hells Angels and their favorite support club, the Zig Zag Crew. The operation was dubbed Project Divide. Everything went as planned, and with Agent 22 on their side, the bikers didn't know what hit them. Within a few days, the police single-handedly arrested over 34 Hells Angels and Zig Zag Crew members. The Winnipeg police were always one step ahead and successfully wrapped up the biggest Hells Angels bust of its kind in Manitoba. Project Divide even managed to bring in Sebastian Wolf, a high-ranking Hells Angels, the same man that gave Agent 22 his rank in the organization. Wolf was as dangerous as they come, a huge towering man that no one wanted to mess with. Even his criminal associates were afraid to get on his bad side. Because of his brutal nature, the police explained that they had to get a no-knock warrant to enter his apartment for the arrest. The plan was to overpower the Hells Angels with heavily armed officers to give him less time to react. Mr. Shuttleworth was another interesting individual arrested thanks to Project Divide. According to police evidence, he was among the individuals that directly dealt with Agent 22. Specifically, he met and illegally sold a firearm to the police informant. During his trial, Shuttleworth pleaded for mercy, claiming that he only engaged in criminal activity to pay for his son's birthday party. Upon further investigation, the authorities found out that Mr. Shuttleworth was a former RCMP officer who served between 1991 and 1994. However, he eventually retired, claiming he was suffering from work-related PTSD. He had served in the Northern Reserve, where he witnessed horrific incidents, including children being burned alive. During the court proceedings, Shuttleworth maintained that because of his poor mental state and other physical injuries, he was unable to lock down a meaningful job. Not only was he a single man with joint custody of his 8-year-old son, but he was also the foster parent of 2 troubled teens. To him, the Zig Zag Crew offered a haven where he would enjoy the camaraderie and earn some extra money on the side. He claimed to enjoy watching UFC fights with the boys, the spaghetti nights, and football games. However, all that was now over, since the club would kick him out after discovering his past as a police officer. Unfortunately for Shuttleworth, the jury wasn't convinced. It was quite clear to the judge the Zig Zag Crew was more about crime than it was into spaghetti nights and togetherness. The former RCMP received the mandatory minimum 3-year sentence for arms trafficking and participating in a criminal organization. Multiple other arrests and seizures have taken place through the 2010s. However, the one in 2017 was the most sizable. Winnipeg police arrested and charged several full-patch Zig Zag Crew members, featuring drug brothers Joel and Nicholas. With them, they also confiscated $150,000 in cash, 7 pounds of marijuana, 2.5 kilograms of cocaine, ammunition, and 3.2 grams of fentanyl powder, among other illegal substances. Even though Project Divide dealt a huge blow to the Zig Zag Crew, it was clear that the gang was still alive and kicking. Today, police officers insist that Winnipeg still has a crime problem and that the Hells Angels still deserve part of the blame. A division commander once stated that as long as there is demand for illicit drugs, the supply chain will always remain. As always, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this in the future. Also comment down below on what you'd like to see next. Thanks for watching and have a good one.